Hey kids, there's a theory that's been circulating around the internet for the past couple years, which is 100% true, called the dead internet theory. I want to talk about it briefly, and my take is going to be very simple. It's not just true, it's actually even worse than you expect. So the dead internet theory is basically this, okay? So back in the day, back when I was a kid, back when I was on the internet as a child, the internet was all surfing, right? You're exploring new sites, you're finding new things, and all of those sites obviously are written by other people, individual people, right? Nowadays, that isn't the case. If you're on the internet, basically all of your interaction, like all of the data you're getting, is not actually from a person. It's actually from an algorithm, or nowadays AI. Okay, so a couple years ago, I did a video that I think was very prescient. I think it's aged like wine, as they say. It's talking about basically how search engines are unusable today, because what search engines have become is they're really just front ends for looking at AI generated content, because that is, all of them have some kind of SEO, like search engine optimized like way of getting results at the top. And of course, people generate, you just don't see sites made by people anymore in search engines. It's just a front end for looking at AI generated crap. So no matter what question you look at, you're going to look at search results, and it's 100% AI stuff. Every single site is going to, if you really look closely, it's very obvious, or you don't really, frankly, you don't have to look closely. It's very obvious it's AI generated content. So basically all of your interaction with the web, outside, quote unquote, outside of social media platforms, be that Facebook or Reddit or any of these sites, hopefully none of which you actually use, is going to be AI generated content. That's just the case. And honestly, we should look at that as a good thing, because the reality is that the internet, it used to be that the internet is, people had this idea that it's just going to take over the world. It's going to be like, and part of this is true. It sucks people in and they keep consuming product or whatever. But at the same time, the internet is like such a disappointment at this point. Like people are still using it, but there's so little like for all the information that's theoretically out there, if 99.99999% of the sites on the internet are just inaccessible from search engines, and you're just going to get AI generated goy slop whenever you search into whatever Google or whatever, the internet there's nothing really there. There's nothing there for us unless you're like back in the 90s, just randomly typing in URLs or searching individual people's pages, But anyway, what I mean at the beginning, where it's actually worse than you think, is this. The fact is, even when you are interacting with people on social media sites, you still are getting algorithmic content, let's say. Just to make it clear what I mean, like, the YouTube comments you see, the Facebook posts you see, obviously the Reddit posts and all these other things, which obviously you shouldn't be using, I don't know. I don't think people should be interacting, individually online at all. The stuff that you actually see is already curated for you, so just to be clear, here's an example, right? So we all know there have been major sites on the internet. So Reddit, Tumblr, 4chan, rest in peace, a bunch of other sites, and each of these sites have had kind of their own personality to it, right? The archetypical Redditor personality is very different from your archetypical 4chan personality, like how people interact online, right? Very, very different. And the reason that is, it's not magical. It's not actually even self-segregation. What it really is when you use these sites, you are being conditioned to a certain type of behavior, right? So if you're on Reddit, where everything is based on upvotes and everything is based on kind of, like self-reinforcing, like, just patting each other on the backs, all this kind of stuff, like subservient, like crowd pleasing, all this kind of stuff. That kind of site culture is going to be very different from the site culture of like 4chan, where basically you just get seen if you get reactions by saying something silly or posting a lot or, being a little provocative, right? It's a very different site culture and therefore a very different personality. Now, I mention that because actually, whenever you're engaging with a site like that, whenever you're engaging with one of these interactive sites, you are actually being conditioned into a certain set of behavior. You are becoming algorithmic, right? Same thing on Facebook, obviously. Facebook has a certain way of doing things. Instagram, you post pictures of yourself, you get reactions, all this kind of stuff. If we were back in the old days, right, when people had individual pages, and they didn't really see. I mean, the nice thing about the old internet is that you could post your own stuff, and you don't really see the little reactions that people have to it. So you actually have a degree of independence. You have a degree of true customizability in that, like, you don't really fear if you're going to get downvoted for saying something, right? But in these, what social media sites have done really is that they've engineered personality types. They've engineered people, even if you are not actually talking to a totally dead internet, and even if you're not talking to an AI or some kind of script that's posting random stuff, when you're interacting with people, oftentimes it's exactly the same. Like people on YouTube too. There are a lot of behaviors, I think, that that are basically universal in YouTube, because that's what YouTube incentivizes. Like at the beginning of every video, you do an introduction. You might even have a song. You might even put in an ad break. You're going to have your video. Like, comment, and subscribe. All this kind of behavior. And, it works on people. Like it changes not just how they present, but how other people like interact with them. And it creates a new standard. Like you look at YouTube videos that are made like, I don't know, 15 years ago, or has it been that long? Oh my goodness. YouTube's like nearly 20 years old or something like that. But if you look at videos back then, it was totally different. It was totally, I don't know, it was more like this on it. People are just talking in the camera, but also videos are usually very short, because actually back in the day, YouTube wanted really short videos because they didn't have the bandwidth or the server space. Now they just want long stuff so they can put as many ads as possible. So just do hour-long, I don't know, whatever. So what was I going to say? So I think the worrisome thing about the dead internet is that, like, we are all becoming, if you're interacting with the internet a lot, you are becoming part of the dead internet. You are becoming algorithmically generated content. There might be a person behind it. There might be a meaty person with a soul who's typing things, but at the same time, you are being conditioned into acting like it's. The other day, actually, I'm embarrassed to say, I was looking up YouTube videos on credit cards. Okay. Which I occasionally do. It's a vice of mine, especially because actually credit card YouTube is so is a great example of, like, everything is just they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying basically nothing over and over again. But I ran across this certain channel. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm like 99% sure it's just a fake person. It's like it's AI generated. It looks, I mean, there's a person talking in the screen and he's saying stuff, but it's in that kind of uncanny valley. And, it's mostly just him reading what could just be a AI generated website, honestly. But I just got to the point where it's like, okay, this guy might be AI generated, but honestly, like, he's producing stuff that's exactly the same as all the people I know are not AI generated. And that's even more worrisome, Like, if I can't even distinguish, like, it's one thing, there are a couple AI generated YouTube channels. There was a big tech one back in the day. I don't know if he still exists. He, quote unquote, it still exists. But there are a bunch of other ones, and a lot of times it's really easy to tell. But it's a shame where human generated content is basically the same as AI generated content at this point. So what's the solution? Well, I don't know. It's kind of a self-solving problem to some degree, because the internet itself, like, I think it really just disincentivizes people from truly using the internet. And I think, that obviously that's the goal, right? You don't want to use the internet for all this parasocial stuff when you can just not do it, right? But at the same time, if there is, I think, this kind of excitement about the old internet, and I was glad when I did those videos on making websites. So many people did, and so many people. Now the sad part is it's hard to discover those sites. It's hard. Other than reading someone's business card, you can't even search this kind of stuff up on a search engine anymore. So that it's hard to say, but I don't know. There is no solution. It just sucks. The internet sucks, guys. That's it. Maybe you shouldn't use it. I don't know. I don't think I had anything else to say. Goodbye.